sometimes Instagram does a wacky thing. Hold on a moment. Let me do this. Alrighty, just telling Alex that we're getting started and we're getting rocking and rolling. Alright, so sometimes it's not really Instagram, it's YouTube. Like a video's playing that I'm, because I'm trying to promote whatever my guest is doing, and instead of just wanting to, you scroll down and it disappears, right? No, it just kind of blows up and just becomes its own animal, and I don't know, then it leaves my Instagram. And yeah, I have a computer now, so I could really do this on the computer. But I'm kind of getting used to it. It's big and scary. Anyway, so thank you so much for the compliments on my nails and my outfit. My nails, yes, Andrea lives near me, actually. So it's on Metropolitan. We can talk about that later. My outfit, it was inspired by a post I saw on... Gotta communicate with Alex really quick. Okay, so yeah, there's this page called Mother Goth Rhymes, and there were all the different kinds of goths, and then there was like a hippie goth one, and hey Alex, alright, worked. It was like a hippie goth one, and I decided I'd go with more like bohemian goth, kind of like Stevie Nicks, which, who I've been compared to, like looks-wise, not vocally. Though I can sing, just maybe a little bit like her. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about some other stuff. So, I just saw that Taylor Swift is set to release a surprise album this Friday, and it's called Folklore. And I feel like, I hear the word folklore, and I see her dressed like this, but, she's always got these, like, speaking of Mother Goth rhymes, and one of them was a fairy goth, where they're, like, goths wear wings and whatever. It's a little silly, but, anyway, and... like, I don't know, what is with Taylor Swift and all these names? It's a little ridiculous. But, also, I guess she had to do something during the pandemic. One other thing is today is Gorgeous Grandma's Day, which I think is hilarious, but, which I guess my nephew could say to my mother, my grandmothers are long gone, but, it's okay. Anyway, with that, without further ado, let's bring Alex on. I ordered these sneakers like 2 months ago, and they finally showed up today. I was ready to have a dispute with my bank and all this stuff. And there's Alex, who doesn't want to hear about my vegan sneakers.
What?
I was just saying how I ordered these sneakers 2 months ago off of Facebook, and they have a V, and then it looks like a heartbeat, and then there's animals on the inside. Because they're vegan sneakers, and I thought the company went out of business. I was going to have a dispute with my bank over it, and then I ordered some other sneakers from Converse, because Converse, and
you know what? Actually, you were right the first time.
Yeah, you didn't hear about this.
I would like to actually say one thing, which is hi Cobra. I would like to say I've begun adopting 2 words. I've come up with a new, what are they? I guess it would be an adjective. Or certainly a modifier of some kind. So I would like to be the first to suggest that instead of using swear words or casting aspersions at each other, we just say Sam Bam.
Sam Bam.
Yeah, so anytime I'm saying Sam Bam, I'm actually it's in lieu of saying something even more offensive.
Even more. Poor Sam.
Janice, you tell Sam Bam what I just said, Janice. I'm looking at your yeah, it's a swear word now. Don't you wear it out. Yeah, but 2 swear words. Everybody's swearing on your TV show here.
I can't see anything. Oh, what? Because they're saying Sam Bam, and I can't see anything.
There's another one. Oh my God. So.
Oh no, my eyes, my virgin eyes.
I think it would appear, based on the 4 people that are watching us right now, that everybody is in agreement that we should start using the words Sam Bam to mean any sort of pejorative.
Right.
So,
excellent.
Sam Bam, indeed. Somebody tell me get on the web.
Sam Bam, you too. All right, that works.
Don't pull a Sam Bam. Oh, I got Sam Bammed again. Okay.
All right.
Yes, actually, yes, he did very much. I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments as well as speaking with you. Yeah, well, I just kind of told him that was my plan, and he hasn't said it was outside of what outside of what he's comfortable with. So I will just sort of tacitly assume that he's totally down with his name becoming a pejorative adjective or adverb. With that, I think we should all go get Sam Bammed.
Let's get Sam Bam.
There's Ronnie Dave. How come you haven't talked to the Darbys yet?
The Darbys? I actually know those guys, I think. Wait.
That's weird. So do I. How do you know them?
Wasn't Johnny playing with them?
Johnny Martin?
Yeah.
Is that the question you're asking me?
Yeah.
I think we got to go do some research on contemporary rock and roll, quite frankly. And I would like to add one more thing. Sam Bam. Yes, shirts, AJ. Yeah, get the shirts. Get the shirts. We're all trying to make a living selling shirts. So I'm talking about me. I'm talking about the Darbys. I'm talking about Johnny Martin. I'm talking about Sam Bam. Yeah, don't be a Sam Bam and get a Sam Bam. The Darbys, great fucking band. Is that what that's in reference to? Dennis, yeah, of course. Hey, buddy, how you doing? How you doing? That's not how you spell fucking. You spell fucking S-A-M-B-A-M. Great Sam Bam band. I literally, before we came on, I sent the text to Sam, sort of saying what we would be experiencing here. But yes, so yeah, no, you are absolutely wrong. Johnny Martin is in LA Guns.
I know he's in LA Guns.
And he does other things as well because he's very much in demand. But the Darbys have toured with LA Guns pretty extensively. But
I know who the Darbys are. I'm sorry. No, I was thinking of another band he was in. Yeah, the Darbys.
Sam Bam. Come on. Yes, no, they're a great band. Well, you're aware that I produce and manage them, right?
Yes, when I saw you in November.
Right. I don't know why I'm actually blinding myself. Yes. What about seeing you? What I had said that I love the band and I'm working with. We're actually, if I wasn't talking to you right now, I'd be working on the second EP, which is the growth that the Darbys have shown. And if you haven't liked the Darbys yet or checked their page out, go Sam Bam yourself. For anybody, so we have 2 new people here, so I would just like to bring everyone up to speed. Collectively, the 5 of us involved in this conversation, we've all decided that instead of using swear words and stuff, because, words can hurt, that instead we're just going to insert the words Sam Bam for any swear words. So, for example, Dennis here said, great fucking band. So I would suggest that instead, to be a little more loving in this time of crisis, that we go, great Sam Bam band. And then if you're kind of sick of somebody's bullshit, instead of saying, you know what, go fuck yourself, I'm sick of your bullshit, you say, go Sam Bam yourself, I'm sick of your Sam Bam.
Right.
So now that we're all, the 6 of us, we're all on the same page, please just knock yourselves out and Sam Bam until your dick. The what? No, we
Sam?
were talking about the Darbys. Um, One of the most exciting, truly dangerous, incorrigible, hard to contain, yet joyous in not being containable bands are the Darbys. Dennis has seen them play. He's one of the guys here.
I have to.
You've seen him play, obviously, yeah, because you knew that Johnny Martin was in him. Oh,
All right.
So,
It's been a long day.
yeah. Oh, tell me about it. I'm actually covered in. So I'm out here in Phoenix, having escaped from LA. No 90s movie reference intended. And I'm just gonna go super underground with everything I say. So I'm out here making sure Mom's okay because she's 81. And I don't give a shit who the fuck you voted for. Do me a favor because I don't want my mom dying. And put on a mask when you're in public. You wear clothes. Put on a fucking mask. You wear clothes. You already sold out. You can't draw the line. Ooh, this much fabric. Now my civil liberties. You pay your taxes. You don't smoke by the fucking. You smoke 20 feet away from the door. You wear a seatbelt. Click it or ticket. But the mask is socialism. No, you've been a slave to the government, except you didn't realize it. If you work under the paradigm that exists, you automatically have sacrificed your individuality to that paradigm. So, for my mom's sake, she's got a respiratory problem. Do me a favor, just wear a mask when you're outside. Plus, they look cool. Chicks dig them, and then the eye contact you make, it's a totally different level, because when you're not wearing the mask, you can communicate just by sort of pointing at somebody. But when you are, you look them dead square in the eyes, and you guys actually kind of get to the point where you're reading each other's minds. And the same people that are complaining about the masks, I might add, again, taking care of my mother, the same people that complain about the masks are probably also sacrificed their civil liberties by wearing like a Kiss mask when they were kids, or a Spider-Man mask for Halloween. Anyway, right. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought. Oh, Sam Bam. So anyway, so I'm out here, I'm taking care of Mom, and then lo and behold, our little doggy got sick too, so that's not my favorite thing in the world, because I love him very, very, very much.
How old is your dog?
He's 12. Oh. He's 12, and just 2 days ago, man, out of the blue, his back leg stopped working, and so now I'm trying to figure out, how to make sure he's okay and Mom doesn't lose her best friend,
Right.
That's my reality. So anyway, because he can't walk now, so when he's got to go outside to do his business, he's about 65 pounds a dog. So I scoop him up with both my hands, which he kind of likes because he gets to pretend he's a little puppy for a second. And then I carry him outside, and then I kind of hold him up while he's doing his business. So if it's number 1 or number 2, so if it's number Sam Bam or number Sam Bam. And he lets me hold him, and he sort of let go of his ego there. But the thing is, because he's kind of balancing on one leg, and they gave him the wrong meds too, so now he's got diarrhea. So we all know how that's working out for the family. So he's balancing on the one leg, and invariably he always gets poop down the back of the leg, and he's embarrassed by that. So then I'm out there, cleaning him, and then when I carry him in, the same leg that he props himself on, because the bad leg I want to not have any physical contact with because it'll hurt him. So as a result, I'm carrying him by, face up with the poop leg. So literally since the last 2 days where his back leg hasn't worked, I've just been covered in dog shit from first thing in the morning till last thing at night. So if you're concerned that I wasn't able to see your social media posts about our little talk here, I was taking care of my mom and my dog, and if that's not cool, go Sam Bam yourself. So that's my priority. My priority is my family, so that's what I'm taking care of now. And then when Mom goes to bed, and then when he's kind of down for the night, that's when I can start working on music and sending all the merch out. And the other thing, I mean, there's only 7 of us here, but I would like to say, I mean, probably I know most of you guys. Who do we got? Yeah, you, I know 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 you. Okay, I know all of us. Do I know everybody? Sam Bam. So, for those of you guys that are supporting, I mean, we all just had the rug pulled out from under us. I don't know if people know this, but I'm in like 6 different bands. I'm in a great band called Pump 5. I'm, of course, in Enough's Enough. I produce and play guitar for Shark Island. I know I'm forgetting. I play guitar and write with Jiro, and we do a bunch of stuff in the Ramones world, which is the same world he came out of. And I don't know who all I'm missing here. I produce and manage the Darbys, and then I do like sessions and stuff from here. But none of that. If you're a touring musician, without tours, you can't actually earn a living. So the fact that so many of you guys are stepping up for us, because we literally, I mean, we threw our lives at the altar of rock and roll, and from that point forward, there was like no turning back. I mean, that's why I got tattoos on my face in 1987, when the only people that had tattoos on their face were murderers and me. But now, obviously, it's become like the cool thing for the trust funders to do. But I will always, invariably, they will be leaning against the table outside of the bar, smoking their cigarette in the most coolest of ways. And they'll have some gorgeous little, chickie on their arm and whatever. And he'll be rolling because he's got, his tattoos going. And my favorite thing to do is I just do a real slow crawl past him, and I make direct eye contact all the way walking past him real slow. And what happens invariably is they avert their eyes and they look away. And I'm kind of like, you know what? We're actually from the same tribe, except I'm not a coward. I would have come up to me and said, dude, when did you get those? And the answer wouldn't have been 2 months ago. The answer would have been how many ever years ago that was. What's that, like 75 years? I don't even know how old I am anymore. There are so many years attached to my name. So anyway, what the fuck was the point of that? Something, doesn't matter. Go on. What's your first question?
All right. So you're the reason for Marilyn Manson becoming a singer, right?
Well, one of the bands I was in, yeah. And I did have, I guess it'll be sort of anecdotal. I kind of had heard through the grapevine so I was in this band called Life, Sex, and Death, which is what a significant majority of the merch that I'm selling is due to that. But which is weird because it seems like all the music I make, it takes 10 to 20 years for people to go, hey, this is actually pretty fucking cool. And I'm like, great, more cred. Thanks. I don't need cred. So anyway, first of all, sincerely, thank you for supporting guys like myself. Sam Bam, not the swear word, but the awesome rock and roll guitar player. Johnny Martin, obviously. Wednesday 13, Ace Von Johnson. These guys were all really good friends of mine, and all of a sudden we had our worlds turned upside down when all the tours stopped, and then, frankly, we blew it real bad on how to reopen the economy, and I'm not going to go into my theory as to why that happened, because I'm pretty sure everybody might be able to figure that out for themselves. But we fucked up, which is really weird, because we were supposed to be the world's leader, but now we're the one nobody wants. Nobody wants us in their country anymore. Nobody wants Americans in their country. Now, we used to have the stigma of being the ugly American, right? I can only say for myself, I feel as though I've been doing my job as being the ugly American for years now. But now it's an altogether other thing. It's not the ugly American. Now we have the reputation as being the entitled, whiny ass. I don't even want to insert the word Sam Bam, because I think it'll be an insult to Sam Bam and the word. But we're sort of whiny ass bitches with no grit that can't really withstand the most moderate of things that could possibly unify us as a nation. We are fighting being a unified nation, which is really bizarre because the beautiful thing about the United States of America is it is okay to not agree. It's okay to see things from a different vantage point and still respect and be friends, as that is one of the fundamental tenets of the foundation of this nation. But instead, it's more important for our tribalism. Here's the thing about politics, briefly. Politics do not exist. They are a construct of man. They are not a real thing. They only become a thing when you believe in them, when you sacrifice your identity to some pre-existing paradigm that you never asked to be a part of, except now you're being asked to swear allegiance to either this side of the spectrum or this side of the spectrum. Well, you know what? That's not how this fucking shit works. We are one people. We don't have to agree. All we need is the same goal, and that's what's good for all of us the most. Not what's good for the plutocracy and the billionaires, not what's good for the Republicans, not what's good for the Democrats, what's good for the country. But we fucked that all up. So because of the pandemic, nobody wants us in their countries anymore, which is great if your goal is isolating the nation from the rest of humanity. But unfortunately, that's not how you stay a leader. That's how you stay North Korea, and you get to be ostracized and nobody invites you to the Christmas parties. So anyway, the shit happened, and I think there's something much deeper at play than what is definitely, I mean, I lost some friends to this shit. I have some friends that still have this shit. And they're telling me about 104-degree weather. My brother actually runs an ICU down in Florida. If anyone questions the veracity of the amount of stress this is putting on the people who have sacrificed their lives to take care of those of us who haven't made that sacrifice, and I'm talking about doctors and nurses and police officers and soldiers and the people that work at Walmart, because truthfully, none of them are better than each other. Everybody needs to be there. So everybody needs to be there for this hulking monolith of a country to move forward. So we can't work anymore. We can't work anymore. So as a result, we're selling merch and giving guitar lessons and doing all the things that we can possibly do for everybody to stay alive. Darbys being another great example. They're painting. They're creating art. They're doing whatever they can using their incredible creative powers of manifestation to stay alive, and we're all doing that. And so, speaking for as many musicians as I can think of being sleep deprived for 2 days and covered in dog shit, in dog sandbam. Thank you very much. It's nice to know that the sounds and the emotions that we're making are not falling into a void, and somebody is hearing, and you guys do actually care about our well-being as much as what we've decided to do to try to bring people together in the name of rock and roll. My best friend happens to be as right-wing as I am left, which is weird. I mean, he's way over here and I'm way over there, and we never... The what?
I heard you say that the other night on
Still true now. It's absolutely true. And to me, that makes me as proud to be an American as anything I can think of. We are politically totally opposite, but we love the same rock and roll. We love the same rock and roll. So what I would say, and I have a lot of friends, like particularly ex-military dudes that are, very right-wing, or not right-wing, that's generalizing, but, are definitely in favor of what Trump's doing. And I can still be their friend, even though I completely disagree with who they follow. But I'm still their friend because that bond is real. Whereas the construct of man named politics is just a tool meant to manipulate us and to subjugate us.
Well, it's like you were just saying before, how, this is a country where people can agree to disagree.
Sorry, just looked at the dog. Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the whole fucking thing, you know what I mean? When, and there's like deeper sort of concerns as well. Like the Revolutionary War wasn't really fought because the poor people that went and fought the war were all gung-ho about getting rid of the king. The truth of the matter is that the rich people that lived on the East Coast when we all first came over, they were sick of paying taxes to the king, and they thought they could replace the king. So they started the propaganda machine, and again, they threw the bodies of the sons and the daughters of the poor at the war machine so they could benefit, and nothing's really changed over time. Black lives matter, white lives matter, animal lives matter, Asian lives matter, brown lives matter. Yes, all life matters. I'm the guy that takes bugs and put them outside unless they really freak me out, in which case they die. But generally speaking, I'll take them outside. Life matters. So I would suggest, and I'm not saying this disrespectfully, I'm saying this with the utmost respect. If we're going to take a stand for one ethnicity that's been exploited by white people, right? And the Chinese were exploited by white people too. And, and the Germans killed millions of Jews. And, well, the Nazis.
Some of them my relatives.
The what?
Some of them my relatives.
There you go. Well, that's a real sandman.
My parents are from Eastern Europe.
Oh, okay, right. Well, so there you go. I'm not even sure what my train of thought was, but anybody
White
that
people exploited somebody.
Yeah, I mean, we are sort of notorious for exploiting other races and thinking that our God is more important and more powerful than their God. Well, that's a big fucking problem when you start killing people for what is meant to be the creator of all life. So you can't worship your God and say he's omniscient and omnipotent and created everything and made all of the decisions and be a racist, because either you don't actually believe in God because you said that God created everything, or even worse, you're implying that God fucked up with the gays, the blacks, the Jews, the Asians, you know what I mean? So, I mean, sure, you can actually sort of undermine the God that you worship. You know what I mean? You can absolutely do that. Well, yeah, I love God, but God blew it with the gays. Okay, well then, unfortunately, you don't really get what your God was doing. You know what I mean? Like you see, like some of the more radical Christian right wing, and they'll kill abortion doctors while complaining about women getting abortions. They'll say, "Oh, I won't wear the mask because of Bill Gates, who he already has his computer in your house. He doesn't give a shit about putting a microchip in you. You're already on a PC. Whatever information Bill wants from you, you already gave it to him. Again, you've been slaves for decades. You just took a stand on a hill that was like 20 years too late. You know what I mean? Oh, but the mask." So anyway, that was a lot of stuff about that. Fundamentally, I think politics are, if you don't really have enough time, or no, the opposite, sorry. Politics are for people that have too much time on their hands. My view, and people have called me responsible for this.
Use their time adequately.
What?
They're not really for people who have, I think we all have the same amount of time. I would say that we all have the same amount of time, 24 hours a day, right? So they're misusing their time.
Well, I mean, when I say they have too much time on their hands, what I'm actually saying is like there's more important things to do.
Right.
So talk about the activities of I mean, I would definitely not run the banking system the way it's run, but, I mean, I can go vote for who the fuck ever I want. Those guys are in place, and they bought all the politicians. Goldman Sachs gives equally to the Republicans and the Democrats. They're all fucking owned. So what do? I play guitar. I'm very selective about my friends. I don't suffer fools easily or willingly. And I try to get as much shit done as possible. And I used to initially, 2016, I was like, oh, Trump is so bad. And yeah, fuck that guy, fuck him. I mean, fuck him. Fuck him for everything that he's done to wildlife. Fuck him for everything that he's done to national parks. Fuck him for the division. I mean, fuck him for his grotesque garbage family of hypocrites and liars. Fuck him for thinking we're so stupid. And fuck us for falling for it. But, I mean, he's a super charismatic dude. And in a world where there are people who believe the planet is flat,
right, flat earther,
then you can question the validity of anything that happens on the planet once you've questioned the actual shape of the planet. But that's not my point. My point is I've got tons of friends that are super pro-Trump, and then, I will go out of my way to say, well, you can think what you want, but I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you do go to church. I don't care what church you do go to. If you do go, my one thing is don't be a fucking dick. Don't be a dick to anybody. Don't be a dick to women. Don't be a dick to old people. Don't be a dick to animals. And don't be a dick to, be a dick to dicks. That's it. You know what I mean? But I think that we've sort of, as a culture, been encouraged to, break our in what?
To kind of engage in banter, and get into negative banter. I think we've been encouraged for that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you know what I mean? We could all fucking be dead tomorrow. We could be dead in a week. So, I mean, sure, you can sit there and bitch about, oh, Trump, or oh, the radical left, or oh, fucking he's a Nazi, or oh, they're this, and socialist. I mean, I will say this about socialism. It's weird how when capitalism failed, everybody ran to socialism, and the people that were saying, oh my God, it's becoming a socialist country, it's blah, 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 which is not. We don't have free health care. You're getting handouts to shut you the fuck up before the economy crashes. And you can write that down. That's all it is. It's just sort of stringing you along, and then they're going to pull the rug out from under everybody, and then we're going to actually fucking see what people are made of. Of course, I'll be living in Costa Rica by then. But that's straight. I'm not even fucking kidding. You know what I mean? I don't need to go down with this ship. You know what I mean? What's the point? I didn't fucking pick any of this to happen. You know what I mean? So I got to make sure that, me and what I love is safe. You know what I mean? And, and we're immigrants. We came from another country to get here. So I don't, I have my views and stuff, but I share them with the six of us now. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. And if it's an option between getting something done or being on Facebook or Instagram isn't quite as, the web.
Time sucking and argumentative.
Yeah, it's not as argumentative. It's not, you see, that's the other thing that I don't think we've yet realized. The Civil War already began at least 4 years ago, but it was fought in a battleground that had never existed in previous wars, and that's the internet. So, social media. So, the lack of humanity and civility that we initially saw in 2016, and it has just gotten worse and worse over time, where now there's divisions within the divisions, and this is all done on purpose. In case anybody hasn't figured it out, I definitely identify much more so as left, but I got fucking guns, so, you know what I mean? I'm not like, maybe I'm a libtard, but I'm an armed libtard. but I don't think, which was the other point I was trying to make, when I jokingly kind of try to pester my right-wing friends, and I'll be like, well, I identify as liberal, I don't care who anybody fucks or whatever, and they're like, oh, no, man, you're not a liberal, you're more kind of libertarian. I'm like, I don't even know what that word means, I'm just kind of like, I don't care if you're black, I don't care if you're gay, I don't care if you're whatever the fuck, as long as you're not a dick. There's two kinds of people, there's dicks, and there's not dicks. That's where my bigotry shows itself. You know what I mean?
This is what I know about the libertarian bent, if you will. Well, it is a little more right-wing. It's fiscally conservative, and they want all drugs to be legal.
Okay, so that's so kind of like Holland, right?
Maybe. I'm not.
Which is a socialist country. The one thing, and I would like to, okay, now there's 8 of us, so it's funny because, here, let me see if I can't sort of do like a roundabout thing here. The Nazi Party, they were called the National Socialist Democratic Workers' Party. Okay, they were national. They were definitely not socialistic.
They were
definitely not democratic.
Oh.
But you can't really get the reins of power by calling yourselves the Jew slaughtering party, right?
Or the gay slaughtering party. They were that too.
The what?
They were the Jews, gays, and gypsy slaughtering party.
Well, also, if you were handicapped, you know what I mean? There was just, the list of grotesque, basically. But you can't get decent people in the same way that my friends on the right that would vote for Trump, they are still decent people. They just hear stuff in him that I hear the opposite of, okay?
Well, a lot of people looking for answers that, that they can't find anywhere else. And he panders to them. He'll tell them what they want to hear. Hey, we'll be open by Easter. No, we won't. No, we shouldn't be. And no, we weren't.
Well, it's
we'll be open in the fall. That's what they want to hear. That's what he's going to say.
And there's one more facet to that, and I think it was Mark Twain who said it's easier to fool people than to get them to admit that they've been fooled. And then once the wheels start coming off the wagon, to get a good, decent person, and I'm not talking about the outright racists and stuff. I'm not talking about the David Dukes that support him. I'm just talking about my friends that I think are really good people, but they just hear he speaks to them in a way that he makes me want to get violently, same bam.
Yeah.
The what?
Punch a wall. Yeah, I'm with you.
No, I tried that when I was making the Shark Island album, and actually I broke 2 knuckles. It was on the last day of recording, too. No, I actually broke that. I broke. Well,
all right, let's get into that, shall we? How did that happen?
Oh, I've broken so many fingers in touring and stuff. I've basically been on tour since I was 18. So in a way, the fact that life is the way it is right now, it's really the first time I've been in one place as long as I've been, and I missed decades of being with my mom because I was always on the road. The first gig I ever got was I replaced this guy called Michelangelo Badio when I was like 20 years old, and he had 2 guitar necks and just ridiculous shredder, and I love Cheap Trick and the Ramones. That's like my first thing. Weirdly, I got to work with all of them, which is just dawned on me. But he was like, massive shredder, just fucking crazy shredder. So, I had to sit down and get real serious about getting my chops and whatever. And, we would rehearse 5 days a week for about, 4 hours a day. But I'd sit around for the other 8 to 10 hours, 7 days a week, working on this dude's fucking shit just to not, lose face when I went and played. And frankly, I think that's why. I mean, I went and listened to I'm selling old demos and stuff from Life, Sex, and Death, and, the first demo we made, and then the one that got us signed, and the same thing with Enough's Enough. And, like, I go back and I listen to the way I played back then, early 90s, late 80s, and, I mean, there's some shit on there where I'm like, holy fuck, I was just, like, shredding. What the hell was wrong with me? Because when you're shredding, you're not getting laid. You know what I mean? It's a thing. It's a thing. It's like you're not experiencing life. This is one of the things why certain guitar players, while I admire them and I find them incredibly technically amazing, it does not interest me because it doesn't speak about life. It speaks about push-ups. You know what I mean? It's the equivalent of...
We're really good.
The what?
I've dated guitarists that were really good. There's some truth to what you're saying.
My only response to that is Sam Bam, but, anyway. I'm not sure the context of... I'm not sure I understand the context of your comment there, but, I mean, Eddie Van Halen is a really good guitar player, but I feel that there is soul in his playing where he hasn't sacrificed his...
I was agreeing with you, by the way. That's what I was.
I know that. I'm just being funny. There's nothing wrong with being a good guitar player, but I personally become offended when I hear guitar players who channel everything through their ego, right? And I can tell if a dude's playing to try to impress me, or if not me personally, but, in general, you know what I mean? Like, if he's there to, like, I'm the best guitar player in the room, and then I'm like, well, if you gave me, like, 1 week, I'll sit down and I'll fucking get all that bullshit back that you're doing up there right now, and then we can actually make a fair estimation of who's the better, and I'll jump around while I'm doing it, motherfucker, so shut up.
Where's your humility?
Why exactly? Exactly, because there's always somebody faster, and who cares?
Right.
Who cares? Somebody else is doing a different kind of... I mean, although that guy Guthrie Govan, for the 10 people that are watching, I don't know how many of you guys are guitar players, but there's this fucking dude called Guthrie Govan. He kind of, sort of like, I mean, he can do everybody. It's like if you took Al Di Meola and Alan Holdsworth and fucking Randy Rhoads and just like Eddie and all of the unbelievable guitar players, and just squished them into one person, it'd be Guthrie Govan. Last night, actually, I was watching a video. It was Joe Satriani, Guthrie, and Steve Vai. And they were just kind of, doing round robin jams, taking turns, and fucking when Guthrie started, like, the whole audience is like, what the fuck is this dude doing? So, I mean, I'm sort of invalidating my point because, I hold that guy. Well, Alan Holdsworth, too, is one of my favorite guitar players as far as, like, more technically oriented people. But there was still passion, so it wasn't control, it was passion. I like primal shit. So Eddie Van Halen, Sam Bam, super fucking primal in his playing, but the dude knows what the fuck is up. But he doesn't play... What?
There's heart in there.
Yeah. Well, I think he might feel a little differently than that particular Disney heart, but there's grit and determination. There's overcoming, and I'm not here to psychoanalyze Sam Bam, but I mean the good guitar players that I hear, that I feel. Ronnie's a great example. Ronnie from the Darbys. I've recorded that guy a lot, and he's absolutely fearless. And so much like Jimmy Page in that, like, there's times where you're going, this dude is just going to stop playing because there's no way he can play himself out of the corneries. And then just as soon as you think that, all of a sudden there will be this explosion of, how the fuck did he do that? You know what I mean? Ronnie, again, from the Darbys, Ronnie Dave. Or Dabe, I think it's pronounced. and it's so exciting to watch and to hear and to see, just like how he's sort of like going through the jungle trying to get the path on the way out, and then all of a sudden he's in the clear, and you're like, how the fuck did you do that, son? And he's a very primal, aggressive player, and I love that. Sam Bam's a little more sort of mature or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what the right word would be, because I love Ronnie, so I'm not taking anything away from him. But maybe just more experience, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. So I look for that. I look for innovation. I look for primal essence. So, like Adrian Belew is a big influence on me. I can't even think of the other ones. Just all the usual. I mean, there's some weirdos in there, like Rick Nielsen, obviously.
Well,
where's that tattoo at, Mike?
Yeah, I remember when you showed. I met him at NAMM, and then I showed you the picture, and then you showed me that.
Words. But yes, that's my view on life. Goodbye. Come on. It's your show. Ask me something.
All right, sure. So you had a lot of influence, and also Slipknot becoming a band.
That's true. I mean, the amount of Instagrams that I get from Corey, it makes me believe it's not even him, but he's got that little blue dot of truth, so I know it's him. And he's always, hey dude, I gotta know this, that, or the other thing. And he seems like a really great down-to-earth guy, but he's always asking me questions about, what it was like to be in LSD and who did what and whatever. I mean, most of the songs were written by me and the singer. And yeah, those guys were huge fans, and Joey when he was still in the band, because I'd actually played in the Murder Dolls briefly on a tour where my band Anti-Product was supporting the Murder Dolls in Europe, and Eric, the bass player, his father had passed away while we were on tour, and so Joey called me up and he was like, hey, will you play bass for us? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll play bass. And I had like 14 hours, I think it was, to learn their whole set. But I mean, it was, and this is going to sound a little bit like ego, but it isn't really. I spend a lot of time in the songs that I write by myself trying to arrange in a very sort of interesting, linear way that involves a lot of key changes and parts happening only one time in the song and sort of being referenced in certain ways. And those are really challenging arrangements, really challenging stuff. So the people that I play with when I'm doing my stuff, they gotta be fucking monsters, or they're not, they're gonna get lost in the dust, because there's a lot of stuff going on. But then when I'm in a different band, because my mind is sort of, I've been sort of thinking in that context for so long, that it becomes second nature to me. And when I have to do somebody else's material that's a little more, intro, verse, chorus, bridge, solo, it's not quite as challenging perhaps as it may be to somebody else, because I've always been sort of making these crazy arrangements that hopefully stand the test of time, which is the purpose of it, to bring as much of myself to every song that I write.
That's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about my, kind of ex-boyfriend, Jesse Camp. I know you played with Jesse. And actually, that was like one of the first times I ever met you was with Jesse.
Oh, I wish I could recall. Well, yeah.
Fighters in Brooklyn at St. Vitus. See, I screw things up. St. Vitus in Brooklyn.
Well, I think having gone out with Jesse, no disrespect, because we're still friends, but I would say, yeah, probably. I wouldn't recommend dating him, no. But we're good friends.
We're friends now, it's okay.
I actually, here's the thing. He was 18 years old. I had come from Life, Sex, and Death, with the background of a financially well-off singer who was assuming a character that eventually engulfed him, frankly. Stanley sort of became Stanley and stopped being Chris for a while. And I remember going to parties and stuff after gigs on tour and whatever, and this fucking dude would get shit-faced hammered, like crazy fucked up, and he would still be in character, but he'd be talking absolute gibberish except in character. And I knew, like, I gotta go talk to my brother right now because he's getting fucking gobbled up by that persona.
So he was Chris, but he played a character named Stanley in your band, is that right?
That would be the surface explanation, but it's much deeper than that. But I mean, you could say those words and they would be true.
All right, fair enough. I'm trying to follow.
So Jesse had a very similar backstory where he was portraying to be somebody that he didn't grow up being,
That's true.
And we got along. I know I wouldn't have lied. But we got along great, and I remember the first time that he and I actually had some time just together. He and I, we'd been making his record and working on the songs and stuff. I went to go get something to drink or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, can I come with?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he did the shuffle and he was doing all the whatever and the whole bit. And but as soon as we got in my car, he goes, "So you were in Life, Sex, and Death, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was in Life, Sex, and Death." So, and then he starts asking me about Chris and whatever, and then he goes, "Well, I figured you'd understand, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, I get it. This isn't who he is at all. He's running away from who he is to inhabit this character." The extent to which the Jesse Camp character, I think he was more comfortable with it than maybe Stanley was with the Stanley character. But I will say this, I was actually out in New York last year working on a record with my buddy Jiro, who I play with. And I mean, we got Clem Burke's on like 3 of the tunes, and CJ Ramones on a bunch of the tunes. I think Elliot Easton from the Cars is on some of the songs. I'm on the tunes. I'm on like 6 or 8, I think. I'm on a bunch of them. So we were in New York. Jesse came down to the studio with AC Slade, actually. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, and I met him in the Murder Dolls, and that's how we blah, 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 blah.
I didn't want to interrupt your trend of thought.
The what?
I didn't want to interrupt your trend of thought.
Yeah, my train is always derailed. And it was one of those evenings, one of those experiences that you just don't forget because we were just hanging out, and then after the studio, I think he sang a little bit. I think he did some gang vocals on the record. I forget what song it was. But then we went out to a bar, and another one of my friends, who's actually a great singer that you should become aware of, her name's Harley Hopkins. She's on the Instagram here. She's an absolute one-of-a-kind talent in music, and one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. She's, I think she might be 24 or 25 now. Great musician. Way too smart for her own good, and another person that we definitely don't share the same politics, but we agree on everything. It's really bizarre. So everybody should check out Harley as well, because she's a monster talent, just a great talent. And I love arguing with her. She's great that way. But so she was in New York at the time, and then she came down and she did some singing for us too. And so the 3 or 4 of us went out that night. And we just went bar hopping and whatever, back in the day where you could just live unencumbered, whatever. That was then. So we went bar hopping. So it was me, Jesse, Harley, and it seems to me there was a 4th person there, but I can't remember right now. And so we were breaking into cop cars, because they left some cop cars open as we were walking down the street, and Jesse was taking pictures. If you talk to him, ask him about the cop car that I broke into. I probably shouldn't be saying this on Instagram.
Sorry.
Was me, man.
And we're gonna get shut off. So.
Okay, bye.
Well, you have to be all bye, but.
So anyway, the long and the short of it was, it was daybreak now, and it was just me and Jesse, and we were still having a good time talking and everything like that. And we encountered some homeless dudes. It was a Sunday morning, and they were sitting on a couch in front of a building somewhere in around CB's, whatever. And we were walking down the street, and we said hi to the homeless dudes, and we started talking as you do and whatever. And then one of the homeless guys reaches into the couch, and he goes, "You guys want a beer?" And he pulls out a couple of fucking ice-cold Heinekens from the couch in the middle of June, I believe it was, in New York City. I'm like, there is more to this picture than meets the eye. And then so we literally hung out with them for about 5 or 6 hours until it was well into the afternoon. And it was us 4 dudes, the 2 homeless guys, the 2 sort of rock and roll dudes, which is like one step away from homelessness. And there was wealthy people, and there was other homeless people, and everybody was walking by, and everybody was stopping and talking, and it didn't matter what our background was. We accepted each other as we were, and we found beauty in the moment, and that, god damn it, it's motherfucking America.
I love that story.
And so do I. It's a great memory. It's a great memory.
I think it was the night that I saw you, actually, because that was because you guys left and you went out bar hopping in Manhattan.
That sounds about right. Would this have been like summer last or something like that?
2 years ago.
2 years ago? I mean, it could be. I mean, I think it's very important to race against the space-time continuum, because then time actually not only expands to do more with, but it also contracts so you can see more of it, because you're resonating at a higher frequency. All existence is based on frequency. So time perhaps might have a different feel to me than it does to other people, because